Have you ever wondered what kind of life a multipotentialite can live? And do you want to know how you can live that kind of life? In this video, we are going to be talking about the multipotentialite life, what it is, why it matters, and how you can implement this in your own life. Roll the intro. Welcome to Multi-Loving Model, the channel which shows you how to handle multiple interests, multiple partners, and multiple approaches to finance. My name is Gerald, and I help people to create their own path in life, love, and learning so they can customize their happiness. If this is your first time on this channel, thank you for dropping by. And if you've been on this channel before, thank you for your support. I hope this video will help you along your path. Today is Multi-Mission Monday, and what I'd like to talk about today is what kind of a life can multipotentialites hope to live like. So first, let's find out what is a multipotentialite. So a multipotentialite is somebody who has multiple interests. Now, I'm not referring to just a general interest. I'm referring specifically to somebody who has such a specific kind of interest, right? It comes out of different ideas that they are almost compelled to live a life in accordance with that, right? So a multipotentialite has multiple interests and is completely interested to focus on all of them as much as possible, right? So that's a multipotentialite. Now that we've said that, what kind of life can a multipotentialite possibly live like? Different kinds of multipotentialites exist, but the ones that are like a bit more prominent in that sense, the first one comes from the very beginning, the first so-called Renaissance man, Leonardo da Vinci. Now, he was born as an illegitimate child and whatsoever, and then eventually, right, he studied his way through medicine, through anatomy, through all these different things, and he built up a kind of reputation for himself as being that guy who just kind of knows everything. So he could do music, athletic, draw really well, which is why we have like the Mona Lisa and stuff like that. That's all from Leonardo da Vinci. He was, in a sense, the first Renaissance man, and he lived an incredibly interesting life. Now, the next person would be, for example, Benjamin Franklin. He was one of the presidents of the United States, and the thing about him is that when he was younger, he was actually tricked and he was sent to, I think, London or something like that. Fact check me on that. But he was sent to a place, and then he found that he was trapped there. So he had to pick up the skills in order to get him back. And along his entire lifetime, he basically learned skills and tested out a lot of things. He's the guy who flew a kite into a thunderstorm and proved, in a sense, that electricity was a thing. He was the person who also helped to reform some of the financial systems. He actually brought certain countries together. I think it was France and things like that. He was a very interesting man. That's Benjamin Franklin. Right, so he would have been considered a Renaissance man. He learned something, and then eventually he's like, all right, I've learned this, move on, moving along. Now, when we come to the modern context, the most famous, in a sense, would be Richard Branson. What kind of life has he been living? He's been jumping off hot air balloons, he's been doing all these adventures, he's a crazy person, taking all these yachts and whatsoever. It costs you thousands to get him onto your stage and stuff like that. And he's basically built up an entire empire with his Virgin brand, and he's able to live pretty much however he likes. He's as close as it gets, right? He's Sir Richard Branson, right? He's already knighted, right? So it's not Mr. Richard Branson, no, it's Sir Richard Branson, right? So that's the kind of life that really successful multipotentialites could live by, from the times before as well as times going forward. So at this period of time, do share with us, what is your definition of a multipotentialite? What was a Renaissance man to you? Let me know down in the comment sections below. So now that we've covered a little bit of what a multipotentialite life could look like, so let's find out if this is something that you yourself should care about. So let me know if this is something that applies to you. Do you ever feel like you are the kind of person who has so many things going on that you want to do all of them, but you're just restricted by either time or money, or just the general society tells you just focus on one thing, go all the way full steam, specialize into something, and just be the very best in that one field? Have you ever had something like that? And then you felt, here's the thing, right? You felt like, that's not for me. That's not for me. And you wanted to pursue your multiple things. You wanted to pursue all these different kinds of interests and things. And you had all these aspirations and things like that. And you want to live the kind of life that allows you to be free to explore these things. If that is the kind of life that sounds like what you've been feeling all this while, this might be important for you. Let's say that you have this kind of lifestyle, right? You have this kind of urgings, right? What's your life going to be like if, let's say, you know that 10 years down the road, you're still going to be doing the exact same thing for the rest of your life, right? You're still doing the same thing, right? Maybe just a higher position, a higher pay and whatsoever, but at the end of the day is you don't really have a lot else to go on about, right? It's like you're just going through your day, you want to explore something new, but people are telling you, no, focus, don't think about something else. Just pick one thing, and do that one thing really well, and just keep going on to that. Just focus. Just specialize in it. How does it make you feel? Knowing that so far into the future, that's all you are really called out to do. Does it make you feel like you need to have like a midlife crisis or something? It's like just like things just completely fall apart, and then maybe you finally have the freedom to pursue that thing. That would feel great, wouldn't it? To have that final freedom to be able to pursue that. Well, if that's the case, it's important to know why. For me, I kind of realized at quite an early age that I'm not the kind of person who wants to specialize per se. Right? I recognized that there were certain things which I was deeply fascinated with. For example, human psychology. I did think to myself, I'd like to do psychology. I'd like to do counseling and something to that sort of effect. But what I found is that as I went along in life, it wasn't just that. You see, I'd maintained a momentary interest. Right? So this is for myself, and it's something that I'll talk about in another video, is how does your energy flow work? How does your engine run? I got a burst of energy for one particular topic, and then once that energy ran out, I just couldn't find it in me to really continue. I'd have to move on to another topic. I had to move on to another project, and then take that, run with it until the energy runs out, and then it starts to collapse on itself, and move on to another one, and so on and so forth. And eventually, the first engine would finally build up enough energy, enough steam power for me to come back, and it's like ready to go, and then so on and so forth. So I cycled around different interests. I realized that if I were to focus on just one thing, and one thing only for my entire life, yes, I could become a specialist. Yes, I could bring in the money, but I'd be incredibly disappointed in life. Because you see, if I was condemned to stick to one thing for all my life, it felt like a prison sentence. That I could only do this one thing, and everything that I did had to focus on that. So, for example, one of the things that I keep hearing about in my own trainings and stuff is that I should actually be teaching vocals, which is fine because I do dabble a little bit into vocals. I'm a singer, I'm a vocalist, I do vocal effects, vocal percussion and stuff like that, and so on and so forth. And I have a way of speaking in a way that is, according to them, it's musical, it's really soothing and things like that. So that's what they encouraged me to do, right? Is to become one of these people who actually taught people this. And I had to look deep into myself and say that that's not really all that I want to be doing. That's not my specialty per se, because I just wasn't interested enough. I didn't have enough passion for this one topic that I could just focus and streamline onto it and therefore make it a complete career for myself. No, I could not do that, right? I'd have to use it as part of what I do. So on the side, for example, I'm interested in things like finance. I'm interested in things like polyamory and relationship counseling. I'm interested in things like trading and how to do stock investing. I'm interested in martial arts and self-defense. I'm interested in psychology. I'm interested in anthropology. Well, not so much anthropology, but the study of human beings. I'm interested in survival. I have a broad range of topics, a limited range, but still broad enough that I would find it incredibly hard to just put any of them down and just say, you know what? I'm just gonna put this one side and I'll come back to it in another 20 years. I can't do that. It's just not me. And if you have something like this, right? So if you've got a story, if your own life feels that way, where you have so many things that you want to do, I mean, there's always something that you can put aside and it's like, you know what, I can shelve this. I don't mind not doing music, right, for a significant while. It's not as big of an interest. It's not that big of a passion. It's something that I can say that I can put aside, and I want to focus on something else. If you have something in your life that people are always telling you, put it down, set it one side, and don't think about it until you're financially free, you're independent, when you retire, and in another 40 years, and you can't put it down, maybe you're a multipotentialite. Maybe you're a person who could use the kind of multipotentialite life that Leonardo da Vinci, Benjamin Franklin, and Sir Richard Branson are doing. So here's the thing, right? So first and foremost, you need to know, are you a multipotentialite? So if, for example, that you kind of resonated with the story, right? There's always that thing in your past that is like, I love doing this thing and whatsoever, I want to pursue it, and every time I try to set it aside, it just doesn't go away. If that's the case, you need to know, are you a multipotentialite, right? Are you a generalist or are you a specialist? And I'll cover it a little bit more, but generally speaking, a specialist is someone who's willing to just take one topic and become the master of that and just keep doing it. When you have multiple interests, when you have multiple partners, or when you have multiple approaches to finance, how do you do them if you're interested in more than one, right? So if you have multiple things that you want to pursue, how do you do it? That is my overarching thing. So this is why I created the channel, Multi-Loving Model, right? You have multiple things that you love, and you have a model on how to approach all these things. That's why it's called this. You also have to understand what kind of life that you want to live. So you have your current lifestyle, and then there's your dream lifestyle, the kind of lifestyle that enables you to do all these things, all these interests and stuff like that. You need to figure out what kind of life that means to you, what it looks like to you, and then you pursue it. Then you have to create the plan for that life. And the last thing that you have to do, and this is something that cannot really be stressed enough, is that you have to give enormous value back to society. Because think of it this way, if you don't really give a lot of value, right? All this stuff is for yourself. Society, in a sense, has to accommodate you. Society is accommodating you. They're going to ask for something back. They're going to ask for payment back. So if that's the case, you will end up having to pay for that kind of life. If you'd love to do scuba diving, but you're not giving back to the world, you're not giving back to society, it's going to keep costing you money to scuba dive. If you want to go mountain trekking, but you're doing it for yourself, it's going to cost you to mountain trek. But if, let's say, you do it the other way and you're contributing back to the society, if, let's say, you're scuba diving and you teach people how to scuba dive, not only do you get to scuba dive and do the research, and do something that's interesting for yourself. If, let's say, you're a scuba diver instructor, now not only do you get to scuba dive, people will help to support your interests. Society will start to give back to you because you are giving value. If you're trekking mountains and you guide people, if you're a mountain guide, let's say you're climbing Mount Everest and you're like the Sherpas, right? You're helping to carry people, carry their belongings, or you're helping people to manage their things, you're giving all these mountain climbing workshops and stuff. People will pay because you are giving value back to society. And so the only way for you to really support your interests sustainably is to turn those interests into something that allows you to give value back to society. And if you're able to do that, if you're able to give back that value, if you're able to put it all under an umbrella, if you have a plan for your life, if you know how to manage your energy, and you know if you are a multipotentialite or you're a specialist, that will allow you to create that dream life. Whether or not you're a multipotentialite, you can live like a multipotentialite even if you don't have the kind of interests that multipotentialites do. The difference is it a must for you? If it's a must, you have to find a way to make the must happen. If it's a have, it's not a must. It'll be nice to have it happen. Still find a way to make that happen and live the life that you want to live. So that concludes the video on the Multipotentialite life. What are your thoughts about this? Do you agree or disagree? Leave your thoughts below in the comment section. If you've liked this video, right? If this has been of value to you, if this has been helpful to you, let me know. Hit the like button. And if you'd like more content on how to have multiple interests, multiple partners, and multiple approaches to finance, consider subscribing to the channel. And if you'd like to be notified whenever these new videos come out, you can hit that notification bell next to that subscribe icon. And next week on Multi-Mission Monday, we are going to be tackling the topic of how can you tell if you're a multipotentialite or whether you're a specialist. What it is, why it matters, how you should deal with it. My name is Gerald, and this is Multi-Loving Model. Be happy in diversity. Cheers.